back ranking albums today. This time, we're going to do Nirvana. As always, if there's anything you want to see me rank, put it down in the comments. I will get to it. I do listen to everything that I rank if I'm not intimately familiar with it, so it does take me a little bit of time. I've been averaging about one a week. I have a bunch that I'm going to record, but we'll get to that. So let's get into it. Nirvana. Before we actually start to rank this, we're only going to do the 3 studio albums. I'm not going to include Unplugged, even though that's my favorite of the MTV Unplugged albums. I'm not going to do any of the rarities or the B-sides like Incesticide. That's only got like 2 studio tracks and some other live stuff. Muddy Banks of the Wishkah, I think, had 1 or 2 studio tracks, but it was all live stuff. So just the 3 studio albums. So this shouldn't take too terribly long. First up, their debut album from 1989, Bleach. This was recorded on a very minimal budget. I think it was like $600. This sounds ahead of its time for being 1989. 2 of my standouts on here are About a Girl and Negative Creep. This was recorded by 2 different drummers, and they were both not named Dave Grohl. There's actually a second guitar player that is credited on the album, but doesn't play on it. He's actually on the cover here. So yeah, it's a bit odd, but it's very raw sound. It's good. It's just it didn't have the polish that the next 2 albums had. Next up, 1993's In Utero. I love this album. For a long time, Nirvana was my favorite band. Nirvana is the band that got me into playing guitar, and this album specifically got me into playing guitar. Scentless Apprentice is my favorite Nirvana song. It's got Heart-Shaped Box. We'll say Wake Me. I won't say the other one. All Apologies, Dumb. It was produced by Steve Albini, who did some Pixies stuff. He wasn't relatively known at the time, but I feel like this is Nirvana's artistic peak. And number 1, of course, 1991's Nevermind. This album sounds incredible. This is one of the best sounding records I've ever heard. In Bloom, Come As You Are, Breed, Polly. I love Polly. That's one of my favorites. Something in the Way. Polly was not recorded at the same time that this was. That was done maybe 6 months or a year earlier. So Dave Grohl's actually not the one playing the cymbal hits on that. Little trivia fact for you. This was produced by Butch Vig, and if you don't know that name, he was a member of Garbage for a little while. But for me, his claim to fame was producing this album. It sounds incredible. The musical and cultural impact that this album had cannot at all be understated.